So I gave a Zoom class today to a group of teenagers in Uganda. And here's the story. A few days ago, someone messaged me on Instagram, asked me, "Are you a rabbi?" I said, "Yes." And then he introduced himself. He says that he's a African, Ugandan, Orthodox, young Jewish man, and he runs a youth group in the synagogue in Putti, Uganda. I was intrigued. And he says, "Would you give a class over Zoom to my teenagers and talk to them a little bit about being Jewish?" I said, "Absolutely." I'd love to hear everyone's Jewish name.
Okay, so we can start with
Avil, Shua.
Shua.
Avran.
Avran, yes.
This is Sion.
Sion.
Shlomo. Shlomo.
Shlomo, very nice.
Amen.
I wanted to see who was I talking to, like there's this little chat video button on Instagram, so I hit it. And there's this clearly African young man with a big white yarmulke standing out somewhere surrounded by the most beautiful hills. And he says, "Shabbat Shalom." It was about 5 o'clock on Friday. And I say, "Shabbat Shalom." He gives me a little tour through his village. You see the little huts, you see the gardens, he shows me the shul. So after we hung up, I decided to do a little research. Apparently in 1920, there was a leader of some tribe in Africa. He decided the truth is the Bible, the Old Testament, and he and his entire group decided to follow Judaism. And then eventually 5 conservative rabbis give them a conservative conversion. But there was one village, and the village of Putti, that refused to go along with the conversion. They said, "No, we want to be converted by an Orthodox rabbi." And they held out. And only recently, the past few years, are they in communication with Rabbi Riskin from Efrat, where they're in the process of going through an Orthodox conversion. Now, the young man I was talking to actually went through a conversion, and he has a certificate he showed me. So I gave a class today. It was about 15 or so teenagers, boys and girls, maybe some younger, some kids, and they're all sitting around, and they put me on speaker.
We had Masa, Marol.
I gave a class about Lag BaOmer, about Pesach Sheni, and afterwards I opened it up for questions. I was ready for regular questions that teenagers ask. Americans or people in the West, we ask philosophical questions. We ask questions about how can God do bad things to good people. We ask, why do I have to do this? Why does the Torah not allow me to do that? But these kids were amazing. Their questions were really practical on how to be Jewish. One kid asks me, "Rabbi, when I slaughter a chicken."
My question is, if I have a chicken, when I slaughter it, inside there's an egg. Am I allowed to eat that egg, or with meat itself, or?
Is the egg considered to be parev, or is it considered to be fleishik's meat? The answer is actually it's considered to be meat if it didn't come out of the chicken while it was alive. Are you a shochet? Do you slaughter?
Yeah, I'm a shochet. I can slaughter.
Moshe, you know more than I do because I don't know how to do shchita.
Wow.
Okay.
All these laws about slaughtering chickens and broken bones and how do you know if it's kosher, stuff that I really am not very well versed in. And then they went on to ask questions about how to perform the Seder on Passover when they don't have certain items.
Someone is preparing a Seder and one thing is missing. Is the mitzvah fulfilled?
Here you have these kids who are living in Uganda and they are struggling, with basic things. They don't have food, especially now because of COVID. And they're sitting around having a class and their question is, how can I be a better Jew? How can I live my life in a way more in sync with the Torah, with what God wants of me? And it was just mind-blowing to me.
Amyisraelchai. amyisraelchai, Israel ani, Israel ani.
While I can't give an official opinion on the legitimacy of the conversions and where it's holding, I don't know the details, and I'm not a rabbi that does conversions. There's definitely a lot of sincerity here, and it's amazing to meet people from across the globe that have such love for the Torah and for the mitzvahs. We can be inspired, my friends. Have a good evening and a Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, shalom,
Shalom.
shalom, shalom, shalom.